Right, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for our latest and our refresh and start post the summer break for our Sizewell C Supply Chain business support program. Today, we're covering the subject of CompeteFOR, understanding and navigating the platform as a local supplier. We have an agenda today which is going to include the chance to hear from Sizewell and ourselves, and then also ask some questions at the end. But firstly, to introduce myself, my name is Ashley Shorey-Mills. I'm the Sizewell C Supply Chain Engagement Director here at the Suffolk Chamber of Commerce. And the Chamber of Commerce have been involved in the project now for about 13 years. And obviously very excited that now we are seeing the amount of work happening on site, many of which is including local and regional firms, which is obviously our ambition, aim, and ultimately our goal from this project. Here's a quick look at what we're going to attempt to cover off today. I will give a quick brief introduction and a little bit of an update project-wise. Then I will hand over to our colleague from Sizewell, Fabian, who is in the commercial team there and is going to talk through some of the aspects of CompeteFOR. I will then come back on and cover off a little bit more to do with some of the support and advice and guidance that's available on both CompeteFOR and our Sizewell C Supply Chain platform, before we touch a little bit on the commercial and contracting strategy of the project, and then head into the Q&A. Now, as always, with our webinars, we are recording these. So we will then host these on our website afterwards. So anything that you hear today that you want to go back over, you'll be able to, by the end of this week, go back and watch the webinar. We encourage you to engage today as well. So you'll see at the bottom of your screen, you have the chat function and the Q&A. Please feel free on the chat function to introduce yourselves, put yourselves on there. If you're a company that's won some work recently on site, we always love to hear about it, hear about who you are and what you've been doing. So please use the chat function to kind of be free throughout the next hour or two to let us know about yourselves. And with the Q&A, please put all questions throughout the webinar on the Q&A box. We will keep an eye on it and monitor it, and then we will answer all questions at the end. And the Q&A function has very much been something that the business support program has really come into its own on, because it's great to have your questions to do with today's subject or wider to do with the project answered by ourselves and people from Sizewell C. So please make sure, engage as much as you can and interact with us as much as you can. Just a couple of brief slides from me, first of all. And this is one from Sizewell that we've been using on some of our recent presentations. And it's important just to help understand what the actual project strategic aims are. Fundamentally, as we have always said, is Sizewell C have to deliver a safe, on time, on budget project. It is critical to the UK that we get this project, we get Sizewell C up and running. And it's therefore, as you see at the top there, Sizewell wanting to evidence net zero excellence, ensuring that the project is affordable and investable, and particularly with a view to future energy projects. It's quite critical, the funding model that's being used for Sizewell. It's to ensure that we can maximise the UK content and support the levelling up agenda, and to get across the legacy benefit, particularly for the nuclear sector, but more widely from our perspective as a Chamber of Commerce, what we want to see. Now, the government obviously is heavily investing in Sizewell, and so they want to ensure that it hits some of their strategic aims as well. Fundamentally, what that then means, as you'll see down the bottom, is that this isn't just about building Sizewell C and it being the cheapest price possible, that actually it has to do some good as well. And you'll see that there is a focus on the environment and sustainability, a focus on social value, and a focus on people. Now, I'm referencing these because many of you have seen the slides, and I'll show them in a second, that we often talk about our priorities as a chamber, and you'll see that they align perfectly with the strategic aims of Sizewell C. And of course, social value is one of those key ones. These are Sizewell's 5 goals of social value. And you will see, importantly, from our perspective and our role, goal 1 is to increase UK content. And you will see within the text there that that is by prioritising a local first attitude to procurement. It goes local. If it cannot be procured locally, it goes regional. If it cannot be procured regional, it goes national. And that is where we are supporting Sizewell. And I'll talk a little bit more later in the ways in which we're supporting Sizewell. But of course, it's all about education, employment, skills, environment, inequality, and communities. And as per our messaging throughout a lot of these events and other events that we've done, is that a local and regional supply chain actually is critical to this project for so many reasons, but particularly in delivering social value, because you as businesses already based in Suffolk or Norfolk or the rest of the region are a solution to those large tier ones that will come and work at Sizewell in delivering social value, because you're already in the area, you're already talking to those local groups, those local organizations, and utilizing a local supply chain. So social value is key on this project, and it is that way in which the advantage to local businesses will truly be felt. And of course, our key themes, I referenced the key themes of the project. Our key themes remain the same. We need to promote local and we want to promote local. And our region of the 6 counties in the east is our ground where we are working. And we will support businesses from across all of those 6 counties, wherever you're from. If you're the right business that can support Sizewell in delivering this project, then we will help you out. We must ensure there is a legacy. We cannot have boom and bust. We do not want boom and bust. And it's all about how we help businesses get sustainable and proportionate growth through a project like Sizewell. There is various stages of this project, and what we want to ensure is that as a business, we help you find that niche and that mode into the project, help you grow sustainably, and then also how you transition out of it, part of that legacy. Now, we're very fortunate in our part of the world that we do have a lot of other large-scale projects, both energy and infrastructure. So actually preparing yourselves for the likes of Sizewell and gearing up your business for a project like Sizewell C actually should help you win work on other projects as well. And that's very much our aim. And of course, the environment is key. We want to ensure that Sizewell C is a catalyst for a change in our approach to carbon and our approach to net zero. And that's everything from what we do as a business and the equipment we provide and the services we provide to projects like Sizewell, but actually more broadly, that decarbonisation of industry. And that commitment that is there is not one to be sniffed at. 4.4 billion committed to the east throughout construction of Sizewell C. Many of you will have seen the reports from Hinkley earlier this year that they are now awarded contracts and planned works included. It stretches over 7 billion to the region down in Hinkley. So it is hugely optimistic that we feel as a chamber that 4.4 billion in our region is more than achievable. And we want to see businesses from across those 6 counties maximising on that opportunity, both to benefit Sizewell, but then also to look at that wider nuclear supply chain that now has become such a focus for the UK. How we help you is things like today, doing events like this and our other events, and I'll touch on them a little later when I do my presentation of the websites. But we are there to support you. So whether that is introducing you and recommending you to the various tier ones and the projects and the alliances, all the way down to helping you with bid writing. And that's a webinar we've got on Thursday, for example. If you need something, it is about you engaging with our team, talking to us about what it is you want, and we will help support you. And that comes from all manner of groups. Yes, we are the Suffolk Chamber of Commerce, but as I said earlier, if you're a business in Bedfordshire, we're there to support you on Sizewell. If you happen to be a member of another organisation and not a Chamber of Commerce, it doesn't matter. It is not specific. We will work with absolutely anyone and any organisation. So we always encourage, if you are part of other membership organisations, if you are part of other groups that you feel need to understand that messaging around Sizewell, please reach out to us, because we will help you and support you and help share that message as much as we can. We can only truly maximise the benefit that Sizewell will bring to Suffolk and the wider East, and the potential for the legacy for the UK of Suffolk supporting it, if we can get the messaging out as far and wide as possible. So what I will do at this point is I will invite Fabian to turn his camera on. I will stop sharing momentarily and hand over to Fabian, who will talk through CompeteFOR.
Good morning, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me correctly.
Good to go.
Perfect. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. Good morning, everyone. So my name is Fabien Le Cardinal. I am Senior Supply Chain Manager of Sizewell C. So I'm looking after data and system for the supply chain. CompeteFOR being one of the tool I'm looking after. In the next 30 minutes, hopefully, I will show you how to access CompeteFOR, how to register, and how to utilize as much as possible the tool, and to give you as much detail for you to find all the information you need. So to start from the basic, I would say to find CompeteFOR is very easy. If you open Google and you go on CompeteFOR, you will arrive to the BIP solution main page, because CompeteFOR is one of the tools that BIP solution developed. So as Sizewell C, we're currently using only CompeteFOR. There is other service that we didn't subscribe. CompeteFOR is there. So there is, as you can see, a lot of company using CompeteFOR, like HS2, like big infrastructure project in the UK. I will just refresh, and you can see we are here as Sizewell C. So if you click on Sizewell C, you will arrive on our microsite, Sizewell C microsite. This is where you can see everything about the project, a lot of details about the project that we will go through a little bit later. The first thing I want to show you is how to register. Anyone can access that page. It's on the website. Anyone can go on it and scroll through all the different tabs. But if you want to look at specific opportunities that has been posted by Sizewell C, you need to be registered as a business. So the first step is for you to register. So you can see the button here at the top. It's absolutely free to register. So you can, if you are a business owner or if you are part of a business that want to register on CompeteFOR, you just need to click on register and it will bring you to that page. You will need to populate all the mandatory fields to be able to register your business through CompeteFOR. So it's very simple, very easy. It should not take too long. So basically, you just provide the email address. I will recommend to for the email address, for example, to have a generic or general email address. For example, supply chain at sizewellc.com, for example. Because if you send the email or if you create your business with a person email address, and the person leaves the business, you will need to go through a change and all of that. So it would be quite difficult. So if you can create your business with the generic email address, that will be a lot simpler. You go through all of that. You provide all the details, names, your organization details. So it will be very, very basic question, address, country, phone number, the industry you are currently performing on, the number of employees, the turnover. So the very simple and straightforward detail. Company details, and you will sign the term and condition, and some of other questions around cyber security and all that stuff. When you create your business within CompeteFOR to access opportunity, one of the tabs that you can't see right now, that will be the next one. When you click OK at the button, it will ask you to select which category your business fall under. So for example, if you are, I always take the example of a concrete supplier. You can deliver concrete. You are able to prepare concrete, deliver concrete, all of that stuff. You will be able to go on CompeteFOR when you create your business, and you will see business categories, and you select everything about concrete. In that way, when an opportunity is posted on CompeteFOR, you will receive directly a notification that something has been posted on concrete. The same for, I don't know, I saw some people on the chat, logistic, for example. So when you create your business, you select the logistic category, and as soon as something is created on CompeteFOR for logistic, you will receive directly a notification. If you don't specify which category your business is working on, you will receive absolutely everything from CompeteFOR. So you will receive thousands of notifications a day for absolutely everything. And so I will highly recommend to select which category you are falling under. So yeah, the registration is quite straightforward. When you click the button at the bottom of the page, it will go through an admin verification by BIP solution, and in an hour or 2 hours later, you will receive a confirmation that your business has been set up, and you will be able to start seeing opportunities. So that's the registration. So I will show you what you get when you register. So I am obviously registered as Sizewell C. So I have the login for Sizewell C. So if I log in, you will do exactly the same with with your password when you get one, and you arrive to that landing page. So this is your business profile. So anytime you can access your business profile, and you can actually go through and change the details of your organization if the name come to change, or if anything, an address come to change, you can change all of that. For the purpose of the project, if you've got an office in London and you've got an office in Ipswich, for example, you will be able to register 2 business entities, one in London, one in Ipswich. And for the purpose of the project, if you are in Ipswich, we'll be very keen to know that you are set up in Ipswich, for example, or local to the supply chain, local to Sizewell C, sorry. Here, you will be able to add any user you want to add to your business profile. So anyone will have the same access. So as a person, when you create your business, you will be able to go here and send invite to who you want to invite within your organization. So you will all see exactly the same page when you log in. From that page, this is where basically you will be able to do anything. You will be able to see any opportunities using filters. We're using keywords. You will be able to search for a supplier. So for example, if I take the search for an opportunity, you click on opportunity search here. And if you know something has been posted for Sizewell, or you heard or you saw on social media, or if you saw via someone in your organization that something has been posted on Concrete, for example, you just put the word Concrete, and of course the system won't find anything because I don't have a real one behind it, but you will be able to see any opportunities that have been posted for Concrete, for example. And because you are registered, you will be able to click on it, see what it is all about, when is a deadline to apply for it, and all the different requirements to apply for it. There is an advanced search. If you know a bit more details about it, you can use advanced search, and also look for directly with category. If you want to see absolutely about Concrete, you can just go here and look for absolutely about everything about Concrete, for example. So I want to know everything about Concrete. I select Concrete. Here we go, and you click at the bottom, and it will provide you. It will provide you anything you want to see about Concrete. At the moment, there is nothing because I use the word Concrete because that's an easy one to remember. But you can do the exercise with all the different keywords. In terms of looking, so this is to look for an opportunity, specific opportunity. I will show you other way to look for opportunities. Supplier, if you want to know a supplier, you know the postcode you are looking at. For example, you are looking for a specific supplier in a specific area, you can use the postcode. If you want to look for every supplier that provide Concrete, for example, you just select the Concrete category, do a search, and it will give you absolutely everything that is registered on CompeteFOR for the Concrete work. There is other way to do. You can filter by region. So yeah, this one to look for supplier is quite straightforward. Postcode, categories, or if you know the name directly and you want to have the details, you can just write the name of the organization and do a search, and you find it directly. So you will be able to see contact and all that stuff. So this is how to see opportunities and how to see for a supplier, to search for a supplier. In terms of other way to find details specific to Sizewell C, if I log out and I will do another Google search. And I go back on CompeteFOR. And I go to a microsite. There we go. So the landing page for Sizewell C, this is our microsite. Now you register, you are able to access any opportunity and see what this is all about. I'm sure Ashley will describe a little bit later a few of the tab here, but in terms of opportunity for Sizewell, now that you are registered, you are able to go and see the current opportunity. So there is different way to do. You can access the opportunity button here and select on you can have a look on each program. So for example, if you want to see civil work program, you can see the details here. You can see a lot of them are already closed, but some of them are still open. So you can see that these two are still open, and the deadline is end of September. You can do that way. You can go to the MEH. MEH won't have anything for now because it's not started, but you can go through these tabs and look for opportunities that way. Or the best way to do it is to look on the latest 10 opportunity, and you can be sure that those ones are still open. So because you need to register now, if you are someone that is able to provide rail infrastructure maintenance, you are interested, you register on CompeteFOR, and you say, oh, well, this one is probably something for me. You click on it, you use your password again, because now you registered, and you will be able to click on the opportunity, log in, and actually see the full details about the opportunity. It will give you a bit of details about what this opportunity is all about, the process, what are we going to do. CompeteFOR is just a platform where we post opportunity, but it's not a tendering platform. So if you are selected after the selection, you will be directed to a tendering platform. It gives you the deadline. It gives you when it is going to close, when we are expecting to award that contract, and when is the work about to start. If you feel that you are able to compete for that opportunity, you click the button respond, and it will take you through a series of questions, depending how the opportunity has been set up. You will go through a series of questions. You will be able to write a statement about your business and submit your answer. This is the way to look for the latest opportunity. If you want to see what is coming in the next few months, you are registered on CompeteFOR, your business is ready, and you want to keep track on what's going on Sizewell. First, as I said to you, when you register your business, make sure you select the right categories. So it will send you a notification as soon as something is posted. Not only for Sizewell, for every business publishing on CompeteFOR. But if you want something specific for Sizewell, you just pick the one you are interested to respond. If you want to see what's coming in the next few months, if you go on our main page, you will be able to see here at the bottom the procurement overview and what has been already awarded. So this is two important things to look at if you are looking for opportunity. If you click on the procurement overview, it will bring you on a extract of an Excel spreadsheet that we normally update every quarter. So last one was July 24. We will be doing it again in September. It's basically giving you roughly what's coming in the next few months. So at the moment we are showing up to Q1 25, I think. Yes, we are showing until Q1 next year. It's basically giving you the description of the package that we will be posting on CompeteFOR in the next few months. So basic details reference to the description of the package, when we are expecting to award the contract. So the procurement, the notification on CompeteFOR will be a bit before that. The target value of the contract, and at the moment, obviously, nobody has been awarded. So you can find all the details there. So if you are a business that wants to get ready to work on specific contract, I don't know, we can take an example. So you believe you can provide some radio and betting on this one, for example, you can see that this is coming in Q4. So you can come on CompeteFOR and make sure you track that opportunity when it's coming along. So other thing you can do is to look for all the contracts that have already been awarded. So if you go there, you will see all the contracts so far that has been awarded by Sizewell with the date of award. I understand that some of them are very old, so we have been publishing absolutely everything. But if you scroll down all the pages, you will see the recent one that have been awarded, and you will be able also to see the supplier that is working currently on that contract. I understand that will not give you directly an opportunity to apply for the opportunity, but it gives you the opportunity to know who is the supplier selected, and it gives you the opportunity to contact that supplier if you want to get involved as a tier 2 or tier 3 or tier 4 for that specific package. So it's a way to find out who has been awarded and who you need to contact if you want to get involved. So we do it that way. As I said, we refresh that every quarter. We're due for an update now in September. You can also see the map here. So we repeat that information in the map here. So in the map here, you will see we try to also update every quarter on this one. So you can see so far all the contract or packages that has been awarded, and mainly obviously in the UK, some in France for some of the equipment contract. But if you try to see a bit more in detail and you want to see what is about this one, so you can see that this one in Norwich, for example, it was about the insurance vendor due diligence, has been awarded on that date. It won't give you access to the opportunity at the time because it's closed and it's not online anymore. But at least you can see who has been awarded, what was the description of the package, and you can always try to get contact with Marsh, for example, and try to get some work as a tier 2, tier 3. That's what I can say about future opportunity award information, the way to register. And I think, Ashley, I have actually covered everything we want to talk about this morning. So I will be happy to give the hand back to you, except if you tell me that I forgot something.
No, you go for it, and then I'll carry on some other bits and pieces on CompeteFOR if you stop sharing. And thank you for that bit. And I think before I do, just to help everyone understand that pipeline and that contract award data that Fabian spoke about. So that was first uploaded in July, I think it was end of June, start of July. So there is a new version that will be up relatively soon in the next few weeks. And we'll continue to work with Sizewell to ensure that data is refreshed and as populated as possible. And then also it is then reflected on that map as well, because it's very important that we can get as much of that information so that you can start to plan when the activities are happening for your business that are relevant, and in particular for us, how we attribute that support accordingly. Right, so let me just share my screen. And I will look over at Beth and make sure. There we go. So obviously, Fabian spoke about the opportunities and the awardee information. On CompeteFOR, there are lots of other bits of information as well. And so I'm just going to take a moment to talk about CompeteFOR and also our website of the extra bits and pieces that you can do through these platforms. That is very, very important. Before I do that, though, just some best practice, particularly around the using of CompeteFOR, that we as a Chamber of Commerce really just want to make sure people are getting into the habits of, because we have now probably been nearly 2 years since the first opportunity was loaded onto CompeteFOR. Now, for most of that period, there's been very little work happening on site, but we've noticed, and certainly you can see on the bottom of the screen on the latest 10 opportunities, that all of a sudden there are a number of opportunities beginning. So it looks like a lot more is now happening. It still is barely scratching the surface of what is to come, just as an advance warning for you all. It literally does not even begin to explain how big this project's about to be. However, because we're seeing this and lots of stuff is happening at once, it of course does mean there are some key practices that it's good for businesses to get involved in. Now, Fabian's important one that he just mentioned a minute ago is a generic email address. You can have up to 6 people attributed to a platform for a business, an account for a business on CompeteFOR. So it is actually important that generic email is that first one, and then you can have your specific people underneath it registered as part of that. But it is so important because even last week we had emails from people who were on holiday during the 6 weeks holiday, which does happen. But of course, they're on holiday for that entire period that an opportunity has been posted, and it's now been missed. And it is too late. You will miss these opportunities. We'd also like to encourage, as much as we are there to support you, and as much as we are there to try and help make sure that you're given advance notice of these opportunities, that you're told when stuff goes live. We can't do everything all the time, as much as we'd like to. So we do encourage businesses, visit CompeteFOR proactively. It should become part of your weekly process of just checking out. At least twice a week, we would suggest, because at least that way you're not going to miss new information that's loaded, new events or new opportunities. And CompeteFOR, as I say, it will increasingly be used moving forward. So actually the amount of LinkedIn posts or emails we send isn't probably going to cut it all the time. So it is vitally important. Yes, set up your email alerts, but also just give it a little check. Also, Fabian spoke about the opportunity search and these bits and pieces. Another good one, especially when you are looking for the Sizewell site, is in that opportunity search, just search for the word Sizewell and search for SZC as often it is sort of thinned down to, because then you will see all opportunities. So yes, as Fabian used the example of concrete earlier, great if you're looking for that. But actually, if you're just interested in all these opportunities that are coming, because soon there'll be more than 10 live at any point that you see on the front of the screen in front of you, that way you're going to constantly be able to see what's happening, what's going on, what's live, and where those opportunities are. It's also critical you update your profile. It's great if you're already registered, or if now as a result of this, you're going to go on later today and get yourself registered on CompeteFOR. It's vitally important, but it's also important to keep your profile updated. We talk about this a lot from our platform, and it's exactly the same for CompeteFOR. Making sure it's up to date, it's relevant, and that it's the right information, so that when you are responding, that Size will have access to those details. And as Fabian said, you can search for other suppliers on there. So Sizewell will be using it to search for suppliers, as will other local businesses and other tier 1 contractors. So making sure your profile sells you as much as possible is really, really important. And also, vitally important, answer the questions. I know that sounds a really obvious thing to say, but some of the feedback we're already getting from the expression of interest that are being put forward and CompeteFOR and other parts of the procurement process that I'll touch on later is that not always all questions get answered. And I have to stress, you must answer all questions. They're being asked for a reason. The CompeteFOR stage is a very light touch, so it should be easy to answer. And actually, most people will get 100% because they'll answer every single question. But it is important to help people like Fabian and other people from Sizewell that are running these individual packages of work, that actually you do respond to all questions in the right way with the right amount of effort. And of course, also, if you take, for example, rail infrastructure maintenance, which is on your screen there, the latest opportunity that went on, you've still got another 9 days, probably 8.5 days to respond to that. Don't wait till the final day. We, again, are getting numerous times where people try and log on and there's issues with the Microsoft Authenticator app. The person who's got the registration is not in that day and they can't get access. There can just be IT issues sometimes that happen. Please don't leave it until the last minute to respond. The expression of interest stage on CompeteFOR is, as I say, it's light touch. So it should be easy for most businesses to respond, especially if you've registered in the right way. So getting your response in early is vitally important. And don't be afraid to have a practice. If I'm a business now that maybe there is no opportunities on here yet, click on the rail infrastructure one. You haven't got to submit your expression of interest, but you can start it. So you can actually have a practice today. How do I respond? What type of questions do I ask? They will be different from package to package, but broadly the same question set is there. So there's no harm in going on today, whether it's the utilities or the rail infrastructure one that's there live at the moment, or any others that are about to be loaded live, and just have a practice. Get used to the feel of what you're going to be expected to answer, because soon there could be a handful of opportunities that are relevant for you that actually mean you then need to respond quite quickly. Also, very, very important is there is on here an FAQ section, and that will take you to a help section that is done by CompeteFOR. There is a lot of information on here. I'm not expecting you to read all this as I scan through, but just to give you a context, there is a lot of information, a lot of links. Some of it is really quite impressive and good information for you as a business to be considering, including even down to just simply top tips for suppliers. things that you can be doing now. And as like we've always said through all of our work, it is about preparing you best so that when that opportunity comes, you're able to respond in the most effective and efficient way. So another little kind of task to take away for businesses is take some time to have a look at the FAQ section on CompeteFOR, because a lot of the time, some of the questions we get, they are answered here. And I appreciate talking to myself or members of our team, people like Fabian and Carly who are on today as well. We can get you the answers, but actually, the information is there. So please take the time to look at the FAQ section, all of the information that is on here that talks about tips for suppliers, but also tips for those people who are putting opportunities on, which again, as part of the supply chain, helps you understand what's going to be expected of the buyers, which then helps you understand what's expected of you to help those buyers out. Very important. Of course, what we also then have, so that's kind of CompeteFOR, and you will see all the normal stuff you'd expect to see on there regarding project updates, both Sizewell and Hinckley, and some videos. Our event calendar is mirrored onto here, and then general information around Sizewell C, particularly to do with the actual project itself and some of its commitments and some of its good that it is doing. And this all links into the Sizewell website itself. And we would encourage, again, it's worth having a look, because you'll often find lots and lots of information where maybe it helps you identify what you can do as a business, or you could be a business that can help. It could be an organization that can help Sizewell. And if you understand their priorities, then it is worth looking into. What, of course, we have also run for a number of years and continue to run for the interim is our supply chain portal. Now, we do have 2 portals currently. As we have always said as a chamber, the idea long term is to have a single portal where all information and opportunities is hosted. Whilst we're working very closely with CompeteFOR to improve the things where we need with regards to local engagement, we continue to do too. Now, just to be clear, our portal is purely there as an engagement tool. You can only win work and start that procurement journey on CompeteFOR. So if you want to win opportunities on Sizewell C, or as Fabian showed, other projects, HS2 and Heathrow and all the other projects that are on there, you must be registered on CompeteFOR. Granted, for a lot of our local businesses, you may not be big enough to ever bid because some of these contracts are quite meaty, but at least you are registered in the right place so that when those tier 2 and below opportunities potentially appear on CompeteFOR, you're able to grab them. But also so you're there and able to understand who are those people you need to be speaking to. And as Fabian showed, that awardee information is key. But our portal is then there still for that information for those local and regional businesses so that you understand what's going on the project and how to best place yourself and how to help us to support you. So as you would expect, there is lots of information about the project itself, and this is constantly being updated by our team. So again, that rule of thumb, don't just leave the portal for when you need to look at it. Make it one of those proactive things that each week, every couple of weeks with our portal, you're just having a little look and making sure that your portal application is up to date. And I'll show a couple of examples of that in a moment, but also for the latest news and information that we've put on here. We have our About section, which talks about our team, but also about Sizewell and Hinckley, to again give you more information on the project itself, what's happening, what the latest updates and the videos, and all of the things that you need to understand when you're talking about Sizewell. We, of course, have links to CompeteFOR, as you would expect. And then we have our latest news and case studies. So latest news will be anything that possibly could be going on that's related to Sizewell, but case studies are important. We are now starting to see numerous local and regional companies winning work on this project. We're actually doing a piece of work with Sizewell at the moment around how much of an impact that's already had to local businesses, and it is many, many millions. And we are very excited to hopefully soon be able to share some of that data with you all. But what we need to hear, because of a project of this scale, is we don't hear all of the stories of local businesses who are winning work. So we want to hear from you. That's why we often ask on the chat on this, tell us if you've won work on the site. Because if you have won some work and it's been a really positive experience for your business and it's made your business change in some way and adapt, we want to be there to talk, to sell that message and to create some case studies for you. So please do reach out to our team if you've been working on Sizewell, or if you've done stuff to get ready for Sizewell C, and we can help you work on some case studies to really amplify that message of doing some good in Suffolk. Of course, very importantly, the next two slides is our support and events. So the Sizewell C Supply Chain Business Support Program, part of the webinar today, is there. And all this content will also be on CompeteFOR very, very soon. And this is links to all of the webinars that we have done over the past year to 18 months. The reason we record these is because they're not always relevant right now for you as a business, but they could be in the future when you're awarded a contract or when you're looking to win a contract. So please don't be afraid to look back over them at any point, because it could well be that actually that's information that matters to you, that you can then go back and get those either key information from our speakers that we had on the day, or also to help introduce yourself back to those experts that we brought in potentially from the supply chain so that you can start that partnership. We've seen some brilliant examples when we did the one on net zero, for example, that off the back of that, the speakers that we brought in that day, local businesses are now engaged with them and utilizing their services and are actually improving their business sustainability, carbon efficiency as a result of our webinar. Obviously to get ready for Sizewell, but actually, as we all know, it's just the right thing to do anyway. Get yourselves ready for, reducing your carbon, looking at your emissions. So please make sure, keep looking at our support page, because we also have all these other areas. Funding and resources and skills and training we know are going to be critical over the coming years for local businesses. There is an abundance of funding and training options out there, both Sizewell organised, but also more broadly organised across the region. So if you're a business that needs to get ready for Sizewell and there's areas where potentially you need support with that, just reach out to our team. That is what we are there to do fundamentally, is to help identify for you what it is you need, and then help you identify those sources. And I'll give you a good example of that on one of the slides I show later as to where that can really help you. Because there is an abundance of training. There is an abundance of support, both from the project, from local authorities, but also from the tier one contractors, because the tier one contractors, it will be incumbent on them through the contracts they are awarded on Sizewell to support local businesses through mentorships, through training and through outreach. Our events program will continue at pace, like these webinars, and we will continue to increase our number of Meet the Bar events, roundtable events and general workshops. We do understand businesses desperate to meet the right people, whether that is from Sizewell or that is potentially from the tier one contractors. And we understand that, and that is the relationships we want to help you build. But it has to be the right time. And with a project like Sizewell, it is such that things take time. Any of you who have bid for work will understand that process. You bid for stuff in a very short window of time and then often have to wait a few weeks for a response. That is the nature of a project such as Sizewell, both because of its scale and its intensity, but also government funded and ensuring that the right way to procure is adhered to. But our events, when they are relevant, that is exactly what we will do. We will make sure you're informed. We will make sure you're invited. If you're the right company to have around that table or the right company to be invited to a webinar, we will ensure that you are there. And of course, we have loads of frequently asked questions, bits and pieces to do with our portal, to do with the project. So again, it's worth casting your eye over if you have any issues, because there are loads of examples of information on here, both from our project, but importantly from Hinkley Point C down in Somerset as well, who, bear in mind, have lived and breathed this already. They've been, 9 months into construction some years ago now, but they learned those lessons working with local businesses, and we've took all of that learning and put it into here. When we're talking about you as suppliers, though, I would be pretty sure to say everyone who's on the webinar today is already registered onto our portal. But if you're not, when you visit our website, where you can see it says log out at the top, there is where you'll have the opportunity to log in and to register. We encourage everyone, if you're a local and regional business from across those 6 counties of the East, to get yourselves registered. If nothing else, you will be furnished with information about the project that helps you best make decisions as a business. Well, is it a priority for me? Do I want to be involved in Sizewell, or do I just need to understand what's happening because of the impact it's going to have on my business? But should you then register, it is vitally important, once you've done the initial registration, that you then fill out all of the options. This is the back screen that obviously we see, but all of the various categories and questions that we ask are there for a reason. They reflect the information that Sizewell C want. They reflect the information that CompeteFOR wants, and they reflect the information that the tier one contractors are asking for. Again, this is all learnings for us from Hinkley Point C down in Somerset. We know the experience of what the tier ones wanted to know, so therefore we ask those questions. Now, it may well be that actually those questions can be asked of you by the tier one contractor when that relationship happens. But the way in which we utilize your data is proactively providing that information to those contractors in advance of their need. So the more information you can give to us, the more accurate your portal entry on both our portal, but also CompeteFOR, it's so critical for us being able to represent you in the best way. The typical way in which this goes, if we take rail infrastructure maintenance that you saw on CompeteFOR earlier, we were working on this some months ago with Sizewell in just helping them understand what is the local and regional capacity for some of these areas of rail infrastructure maintenance. And that could be the same whether it's catering, concrete, which was Fabian's example earlier. They will come to us with a need and a specification for what it is that they're going to do. And we will then take that data that we have to help them understand, can local and regional reasonably deliver on this part of the project? Is there a reasonable expectation that potentially someone locally or regionally could run as a tier one contractor? Or will they perform roles underneath that as a tier two and below, supporting that tier one contractor, whoever should win? And it's all about positioning the project to understand where that capacity and capability is. So where we ask questions on here, things like this, such as, what services do you provide? Do you currently monitor your own spending? Because it will be an expectation at the more senior level of the supply chain on the project that you'll have to report on an awful lot of stuff. Do you engage with colleges, with schools, and all these types of things? It's vital that businesses fill this out. What this also then does is helps us spot patterns, because if we find that actually loads and loads of people, I'm going to probably pick a terrible example now, but loads of businesses don't have a plan in place to increase biodiversity. Not a problem at all. Might be that that's the case, but by us knowing that, we can then put support in place to help businesses understand how they can put a plan in place for increasing biodiversity. And there's going to be an announcement very soon through Sizewell C's partnership with Wild East around how businesses can support that. But and we've actually done a webinar on that, I think last October, for any of you who didn't get a chance to see it, and that's on our website. But your information you provide on here is not just wonderful. We produce a spreadsheet and supply it into the project. It actually formulates our workload as to where that support is most needed. If we're asking a question on here, it's because at some point on the project, it's going to be important that we understand the answer and that Sizewell C understand the answer. And again, that's why we say, have multiple contacts, make sure they're up to date and relevant, because when we have events and when we have opportunities, we want to be telling you about them. We don't want to hide them from you. But if that one person has left the business, if that one person who signed up is actually not the right person for day-to-day engagement, make sure you've got multiple people signed up to receive our emails, to receive our newsletters, and to receive our information about our events and opportunities. And if the options are there, make sure you're filling them out. Really, you need to ensure you sell yourselves on our portal. So where you've got the description box, and I appreciate I'm using a terrible example with our Chamber of Commerce one. The irony is not lost on me on this one. But your description box and your keywords, we need to see as much as possible out what you do as a business, because that helps us best represent you. And that can also be done through case studies. Adding case studies showcasing where you've done large scale pieces of work to do with your business speciality, but also where you've done good through social value, really helps us to help showcase you to the project and to, importantly, its tier one contractors as a solution that they need to be working with. What they're then also, of course, as a final thing before I go back to slides, is LinkedIn. So our Sizewell C Supply Chain LinkedIn page is where we will also always amplify the messages of the project, particularly through the opportunities that are now becoming on CompeteFOR. So yes, we will email you if we feel you are relevant. Yes, hopefully you will sign yourselves up to CompeteFOR and correctly put your alerts and registers on so that you get the notification. Yes, if we've met you, we may pick up the phone and give you a call as well. But we will also post everything onto CompeteFOR, so onto LinkedIn. Sorry. So make sure you're following us on there. Someone just did, so it's probably someone on this webinar. So thank you very much. But it is important because our job is to create that safety net as much as we can. If you want to win work on Sizewell, there is elements you have to be proactive in yourselves. You have to get yourselves in the right place to win this work. But we are there as that safety net to try and make sure that as much as possible, you are not only ready for it, but you are aware of it and able to maximize the opportunities that are ahead. Right, I will stop sharing my screen of the website for a moment. So bear with as I then just go back to our slides. There we go. And I'll just make sure. Yeah, perfect. You know who I am. Now, with regards to the procurement process, there's an important point on this, just to help everyone understand how the procurement process works on Sizewell C. So the first stage of market engagement, that is what we've just been learning about CompeteFOR, the expression of interest, the opportunity posting. So what will tend to happen, as Fabian outlined, is a briefing document will be issued, which kind of showcases the scope of goods and services that are needed. That will be posted onto CompeteFOR, normally up to 10 working days to respond to it. It is very light touch. This is not a PQQ. This is not an ITT. This is not a deep, meaningful procurement process. This is a first put your hat in the ring stage, if you like, which is why we say to everyone, just as soon as you see an opportunity, if it's relevant to you, please respond to it. Please only respond to them that are relevant to you, though. There is no point if you are, for example, a metal fabricator, responding to a catering one just because you're desperate to work on site and really want people to see who you are. Make it relevant, because there's no point wasting your time. There's also no point wasting Sizewell's time. What they want is businesses that can play a part in that package of works so that they then understand at that stage who they need to be talking to. So as it says on there, CompeteFOR, Fabian's outlined this, run by BIP Solutions on behalf of Sizewell C. We're obviously working to support that as well. That's that first step. What will then happen is the project will then step back from that, look at all of the expressions of interest once that is closed, and work out, okay, what of those businesses that have expressed an interest are relevant to go to that next stage of pre-qualification questionnaire. Now, it may well be that you're a business that isn't relevant at all to that sector. Fine, you'll be obviously took off the list. It may well be that you're maybe a bit niche within a category. So you take rail infrastructure maintenance, for example. There are lots of things within that package that's currently live. It may well be that you can provide one small part of that solution. So you may not get to PQQ stage, but you've expressed that interest. You are on the list of those that have shown interest in that package, so that when the project gets further down the line and then it needs those subcategories, it then already knows that you've expressed that interest for them to consider you. Importantly, what you will get is a notification via CompeteFOR to say you've been unsuccessful. So can I suggest another good bit of practice is to go and look at your spam folders now. Ensure that anything related to CompeteFOR is not going to hit a spam folder, because quite regularly we get people say to us, I've not heard anything, Ashley, Ian, the rest of the team. What's going on? It's been ages since I expressed my interest for that package. And actually they were sent an email and the spam folders have got it. So it's worth looking at your spam, making sure that your IT security allows CompeteFOR based emails to come through, both because you don't want to miss out when you've not been successful or been successful, probably more importantly, but also just on opportunities full stop. When you go to that pre-qualification, that is the point where it then starts to capture the business's technical capability, accreditations, financials, all the stuff to do specifically with the business around that package of work. So it is still very much focused on your business, not so much around actually what's being asked to be delivered, but the relevancy of what's got to be delivered is important. You'll see you'll normally have 10 to 20 working days to respond to this. And that will be done, as you'll see on the systems, by a separate portal called iValuer. Now, that is the portal that EDF, Sizewell C, use for all of their further procurements. You'll see PQQ and the next stage of tendering is all done via iValuer. You will be sent a link by the procurement team to ask you to register your business on iValuer at that point. And you will again set up a profile, and everything to do with the PQQ will then be hosted via that portal. What's very important at that point is it is where you'll answer all the questions, but it's also that point where you can ask questions of the project. So if you have concerns, if you have worries about some of the things that are being asked of you, expected of you, got some queries to do with some of the questions and want to answer them in the right way, that is a portal for two-way conversation. And if you ask a question to the buyers that actually is relevant, what they'll then do is share that answer with everyone that's interested, because it may well be that other people have got the same question. So it is that platform for ensuring that actually information is shared, as well as your chance to get back and start that bidding process of showcasing your business is right for that package of works. Should you be successful at that point, you will then go to stage 3, which is the invitation to tender. And that is very much where it will be a short list. So we've gone from a very long list to a long list down to a short list of a number of companies determined by the procurement team, where they will then start to look at specifically what is needed on that package of works and how you match up to it. And you'll notice that it says they'll be evaluated against various criteria, such as most economically advantageous to tender, but also ESG. We often get asked, is it just going to be cheapest price wins? The short answer is no, it will not be. Sizewell has a value for money framework. Value for money does not mean cheapest. We've spoke so much about social value. Social value is a key driver on everything, and you'll get at least 10% will be attributed to social value. And actually, on some of the tenders to do with some of the road packages, we know that quality has taken 60 to 70% of the score in total. So it is about making sure this can be delivered on time and safely, as well as on budget. So it's the chance then for businesses to really showcase themselves. What I will say is that stage from PQQ to ITT, often a lot of businesses are scoring very, very highly at PQQ stage and still not getting through. That is normally because there is a good choice. There is lots of businesses that want to win this. And sometimes it will come down to experience. It will come down to experience of large scale projects. It will come down to experience of nuclear projects. But that doesn't mean if you're knocked out at PQQ stage, that's it on that package of works. As we've always said, this process is about identifying that tier 1 contractor, that lead contractor who's going to take on this piece of work. Actually, what's important then is what happens after. So those tier 2 and below supply chain, where we introduce you, bring you back in, and you start that conversation. And that's very much our role of introducing and creating those relationships. Should you then be successful, you'll see the contract award stage at the bottom, where that's where all of the admin and the management of the contracts, and you'll see again there are different systems should you be awarded a contract that you'll be expected to sign up to and manage your contracts through, particularly around reporting, but also around every aspect of the contract management. And I'm sure if there's questions on any of the stuff you see here today, then obviously please do put them in the Q&A box towards the end now if you want to, and we'll make sure they're answered. But that hopefully gives you a bit of an idea and helps you understand CompeteFOR is vitally important for the start of the procurement process. If you do get sizable people contact you asking you to sign up to things like iValuer because you've bid for something, that's a good thing. And please ensure you do it. But make sure you check your spam for words like this, because we don't want you to miss out on those opportunities. So at that point, we will now take some questions. So I'll look at what's in the Q&A box there and obviously bring some of the team on accordingly. So we'll do it in order. So firstly from Mark, our products normally get specified by architects or contractors. Would you have a contractor architect list for us to contact? Okay, so Mark, I think the short answer to that is there's very few contractors on site at the moment. As much as we see lots of activity, there's actually very few on site. I'll come back to architects separately in a moment. So tier 1 contractors, the core main half a dozen, we are engaged with already. And what we are doing is working with them to help them understand who the local supply chain is that's relevant to them and who they need to be speaking to. The more general look of design and specifying it, design and architects, is something that we are currently working with the project on. So it's a slightly hot topic at the moment, because we want to ensure, that innovation, particularly around net zero, but actually innovation full stop, is championed. So how you do that and how you bring in new ideas and different ways to do things is going to be critical. So part of your answer is just going to be a TBC. Please leave that with us. But rest assured, as a chamber, we are working very closely with Carly and the rest of the Sizewell C supply chain team within Sizewell as to how we best help businesses who are designers, architects, but also new innovative products, how they get themselves involved. And there's lots and lots of people on Sizewell coming from other major infrastructure projects and other major infrastructure departments that have got great track records in promoting innovations, particularly amongst SMEs and lower down the supply chain. And they've been brought in specifically for that reason. How do you do new, good things that especially can contribute to the legacy for Suffolk? Is Cyber Essentials a mandatory requirement for Sizewell C, or is that just for government projects? I don't know, Fabian, Carly, if we have an answer on that yet. I know there is, before they do come on, I'll just explain. We are working very closely with the procurement teams at the moment at Sizewell around that standard base level information of what you need to do as a local business. There will always be specifics. There will always be niche stuff for different projects that you will need. But the core standards that are expected, we will be helping to ensure you understand what they are. Now, as a general message, cybersecurity, let's be brutally honest, it is best practice. We've seen countless examples only over the summer of major institutions being hacked yet again. I got told the other day, apparently Dart Charge did again. So there's loads out there to ensure that actually, if you're going to work on a project like Sizewell, it is best practice, and we would advise you do. And we did a webinar on that a few months ago, which was specifically focused on what you can do around cybersecurity. And I think there will be an expectation that all businesses have a form of cybersecurity. But yeah, I don't know if anyone from Size was on that's able to add any more to that point at this point.
No, I don't think so. Actually, I think we need to double check, but I believe, yes, that will be, I can't say mandatory, but it will be essential. Yeah.
Fine. Okay, fantastic. And it's like we've said, because we often get asked the same question about ISOs and things. And I know through our presentations that myself and Steve Carroll have often done over the years, is that we've said it's not that ISOs will be mandatory, but if you've got them, it kind of evidences partly that you are able to adhere to certain standards and certain processes. Having the certificate doesn't mean anything, though. You actually have to put it into practice. It's a bit like having a health and safety policy. If you have a health and safety policy in a warehouse, but you have absolutely zero near misses and never any accidents, you're probably not actually putting your health and safety policy truly into practice, because there's always near misses. There will be accidents in warehouses, etc. So it is about having those policies and procedures, having those ISOs, but actually putting them into practice and having a management structure, an organization that can showcase that they are being utilized. Please, can you clarify the difference between Sizewell C Supply Chain and the Sizewell C Consortium? Yes. Actually, quite relevant again, because the consortium has come back again. So if I explain the easy one first, so the Sizewell C Supply Chain, that's us. Okay, so we are there as the supply chain engagement on behalf of Sizewell C around the commitments they made to the supply chain. So Sizewell made lots of commitments. They promised to use local and regional businesses. That's our job, to help them identify those local and regional businesses that can perform a role. Simple as that. That's us. Now, the consortium was something that was created circa 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago now, actually. I think it was 2019. And it was with a particular drive for the UK nuclear sector. So it was set up originally by a core number of nuclear sector and large-scale construction businesses that were working at Hinkley to get their combined brains together to lobby the government to get Sizewell C over the line, because this was before the development consent order even been submitted, let alone approved. So the consortium was there to very much say, UK nuclear, we're doing Hinkley, we want to do Sizewell. There's loads more opportunities in large-scale projects, but also in things like small modular reactors, micro reactors, even floating nuclear. But all manner of nuclear sector industries, that actually, if we do Sizewell, it's that easy example of taking expertise from Hinckley to Sizewell, then from Sizewell to wherever else the opportunity and the need is. Now, of course, with the recent change in government, the consortium has been a bit more active again recently because it wants to ensure that Labour takes on that same ethos that Conservative had around the UK nuclear sector. Now, it is a membership organisation. It is purely there for lobbying for the nuclear sector. So we say to local businesses, if you want to join, feel free to. If you are a local or regional business that sees the nuclear sector as something critical to its future, probably worth a conversation with them. But if you just want to work on Sizewell because there's massive opportunities on your doorstep and you're a construction business or a facilities management business or an ecology business, whatever it may be, and it's really about maximizing that opportunity in this region, the consortium is not necessarily something you need to worry yourself with ultimately, because they are purely there to lobby the government to make sure that we don't just build Sizewell in isolation following Hinckley, that those skills that we are going to train for Sizewell, that those opportunities of the UK nuclear sector are maximised so that whatever is built in the future, large-scale plants or small-scale plants, that we have the skills in the UK to be able to deliver it. And importantly, we have the skills in the UK to be able to ongoing maintain and manage those existing sites, work through the decommissioning of sites like Sizewell A, and also export UK PLC nuclear around the world again, like we always have done. You know, we have Sizewell B, which is in the top couple of for efficiency or performance, I can't remember the method is, in the world. I mean, Sizewell B is looked upon across the world in the nuclear sector as being fantastic. So our workforce is wanted. So let's build more of it at Sizewell B standard and then export it everywhere. And then, hey, great, bring the money back into Suffolk and this region. So I hope that answers that one. The key for this, though, is just stay engaged with us. The Sizewell C Supply Chain team, that's what we do, and we are there to support you. Brilliant. If you do complete works on Sizewell, are you then part of the approved supply chain and will no longer need to look for future works via CompeteFOR? Two separate parts to that. Second part of it, 100% you still need to use CompeteFOR. Opportunities throughout the project will still be posted on CompeteFOR because it needs to be. The advantage, though, of you winning a contract, fantastic when you do, is part of your onboarding. And again, I sound like I'm doing a last summer in band camp here, but a previous webinar we did was around getting people onto site and the processes you have to do. So again, please view that. But once you've won work on site, you will have the tickets, the cards, the passes to be on site. You will be performing work for a contractor, be it for Sizewell Direct or one of their tier 1 or tier 2 contractors, which of course therefore means you've got a massive opportunity to win additional work while you're on site as well, small scale works to support opportunities. Because at a certain level, stuff does not have to go on CompeteFOR, much smaller contracts. So if you're, performing a role for someone else on site, there is always an opportunity of winning more work. And that's where we see this as exciting as a chamber. Say it again, our mission is to get you as ready as possible. So that first conversation you have with the client or with the alliance or with a tier 1 contractor is positive, so that therefore you can get yourself within that fence. You can get your team signed up, accredited, trained, and then you're there. And then it's over to you. Do what you do well, do what you do good, do a great job on time, on budget, get it delivered, make some money, and then pick up some more. But everything will always go through CompeteFOR. And just to re-emphasize that, the tier 1 contractors that are on site now, your Volker Fitzpatricks of this world, your Galdris, your Blackwell's Earth Moving, they're still talking to us, even though they're very active on site, because they're active on site in a portion of it, but they don't see everything that's going on. And I stress this again, this project is of such scale that you won't be able to keep up with everything. And that's why it's exciting for multiple local businesses as well as multiple national businesses, because there is enough for everyone to have something on this project. It's about the right business at the right time, taking on the right risk. And for some, Sizewell won't be the right thing for them. But actually, by signing up to webinars like this and our support and the way in which our team can help you, it might help you get into the offshore wind sector. It might help you get into the rail or road sector with all the infrastructure upgrades that are happening there. It's about best practice that we want to help. So I think that one's answered. If there is any other questions, please do chuck them through, because like we say, we're always keen to ensure where questions do come through that we can answer them as much as possible. What are specific nuclear-based training tickets, additional company accreditations required as prerequisites? God, I can't, if I'm honest, remember everything that we discussed. I would, and it sounds like a plug, look back at the webinar we did last year. I'm trying frantically to remember the date in which we did it, but if not, maybe we can always refer to it on the email we send out afterwards. But yeah, it talks about some of the training, the base level training that all staff have to have, because any employees have to sign up to an employee code of conduct, have to have a standard induction training. We're now looking, so give me 2 seconds. There we go. From May this year. So May this year, we did preparing your business and your team for accessing the Sizewell C site. That was done with the onboarding and workforce employment affairs unit team from Sizewell. So give that a look. But yes, that way you can help kind of get your team as ready as possible. And again, great experiences that we're getting from businesses locally is that when they do win a contract and they get some people on site, maybe they need half a dozen people, they're getting half a dozen people through the basic CITB test or whatever it is that they have to do. But what they're actually then doing is they're investing in advance, and they're actually getting a few more people through that training. Because reference the other point about, does everyone have to go and CompeteFOR? Sometimes you could be on site doing a small job and someone else says, do me a favor, could you do something else for us? And sometimes you want to be able to respond and just say yes. Having the people pre-trained, ready to go with the tickets helps you be able to say yes to that. So a little bit of investment in some of your team, getting more people to the level that's expected to work on site, doing the induction, understanding that process is really important. Excuse me. Is the list of contractors already on site and the awarded wins? Part of. As I said earlier, the sheets that are on CompeteFOR at the moment, the pipeline and the awardee contract information, that was the first draft that's ever been done for this. So it will expand. There will be more information. Plus also, if you check the map, as I said earlier, there is more to be put on there as well. I would suggest the vast majority are on there. So, you can certainly start to hack through that information. But there will be much more on the next iteration of that document. There will also be, once we can publish the supply chain spend data, there'll be more information on there. And of course, also, that is fundamentally what we're there for. So if you come to us and say, Ashley, team, this is what we do, we want to speak to these types of people. If it is right and proper to do so, we will help introduce you to those people. If it's not quite the right time, or that tier 1 contractor or that lead contractor is not ready to engage, we'll let you know. Trust me when I say we would never hold back from anyone the opportunity to talk to a tier 1, because that's what we want to happen for you. But sometimes it might just not be the right time. Go on, Fabian, you've come on. You've got something you want to add to that?
Yeah, just also to specify that all the suppliers that have been awarded won't be working on site. They could be located somewhere else in the country. And this is why it's important to understand who has been awarded so you can contact them, because they could have delegated the work to a tier 2 that can actually do the work on site for them. So I would advise to go on the awardee list, as Ashley said, that will be refreshing very soon, and contact them, and they can tell you if they actually work on site, who is working for them on site.
Fantastic, thank you. And we are seeing more and more of that. We've said it a lot. Don't be afraid of large-scale organisations that are going to come to Suffolk, are going to maybe pass your HQ to come work on Sizewell, because sometimes you need those big beasts at the top of the tree because of the level of compliance and paperwork and expectations around the supply chain. You need them. But actually, then our work is to work with them to say, okay, you're going to take all the hassle, but who do you need to actually do the work? And that's where we come into it. Does being a valued supplier to Sizewell B carry any weight with Sizewell C? Okay, so it is 2 completely separate entities. So with regards to any direct transfer, no, Ian, is the short answer. However, if you're working on Sizewell B, I would presume you're already pretty good at what you do. You've probably got some great case studies. You've probably already got all the compliance and safety standards, etc. So when it comes to the project approaching us for who have you got locally who can do X, Y, Z, you can not only potentially do X, Y, Z, but also do it to the right standard. There is a big talk about replication, and that is replication from Hinckley to Sizewell, replicating certain things, not necessarily the supply chain, although some of the tier one contractors will obviously come across because they bring all their learnings with them. But actually, it is all about the reason they're doing that is for safety, efficiency, time, budget, cost, etc. And that will be the same with, in our example, locally with some Sizewell A and Sizewell B companies, because you will naturally bring a level of expertise. What is important is that you make sure your portal entries reflect what you've done at Sizewell B. Because if you are, at the moment, it's very construction heavy, but increasingly over the course of the next year or so, we will start the engagement through the MEH phase, so the second half of the project, but also start the engagement with some of the major tier ones around nuclear island, conventional island, and the real technical stuff in the middle. Now, a lot of that is going to be replicated content from Hinckley. That's the whole purpose of saving that money from Hinckley to Sizewell. But there will still be a need for local capacity to support those businesses in some way. It might not be as big an opportunity locally as construction is or as people-based services is, but there will be an opportunity. And of course, in your example, in whichever company it is you work for, in give or take 12 years' time, there's going to be a Sizewell C to operate, which will be more than twice the size of Sizewell B. So the opportunities for businesses who are working on Sizewell B will be potentially through the construction, and we'll help identify where that is. But importantly, through the hopeful ongoing operation of Sizewell B, should it get its 20-year life extension, but then also the next 60 to 80 years of 2 reactors at Sizewell C. And that's one of the exciting things, I think, for this region is soon your outage for Sizewell B brings huge amounts of money to Suffolk, huge amounts. And that's about to start again very, very soon. They're about to go on their next planned outage. Give or take 12 years' time, you'll almost have constant outages because every 6 months there's going to be a reactor going through an outage, which brings huge future opportunities outside of just the construction of Sizewell C. Right, there's no more questions at this point. If any do crop up, then I'll endeavour to answer them. And of course, we'll make sure if you've not wanted to ask a question for any reason, don't feel confident to, then please, you can drop us an email. You'll always get our contact details and ask us any questions at any time. That's not a problem at all. Just because it's relevant for today, and actually it references on Thursday of this week, our next webinar as part of the series is to do with bid writing. And obviously everything we discussed today around CompeteFOR and the future is all to do with bid writing. Well, supporting businesses through that is critical. And we are making lots of introductions to consultants and specialists in the region for some businesses that are going for it. But actually as a chamber as well, we have recently launched our Skills Hub, which does include and has already included some bid writing and tender workshops. And there is another one coming up very soon, which is on the 30th of October. Prices, etc. are on there. You can get in touch with the chamber team if you'd be interested in just learning some best practices. So you've got our webinar on Thursday. You can still sign up to it if you want to, plus an actually dedicated course. And I referenced earlier around funding. Through our work, driving forward this need to support businesses, that training can actually be potentially up to 40% funded. So not only is the training being offered and is available out there, but actually a lot of the time we can help fund part or all of these training sessions as well. So please do visit the chamber website, get in touch with anyone from the chamber team if you'd be interested in that. And like I say, you can also potentially get funded training to support you in the area of bid and tender writing. So just a couple of last little plugs from me. I appreciate we've just been talking a lot about these, but just as a reminder, please get yourself signed up to our portal. If you're already signed up, thank you, but update the information. It's so important to us and the role that we perform. And of course, even more critical now, because we know we still have a very large percentage of businesses that are signed up to our portal have not yet signed up for CompeteFOR, that we need businesses to sign up to CompeteFOR, please. It doesn't take long, but it will get you in the best place possible to ensure you can win work on this fantastic project. We will share these slides as we always do. They will appear on our website under the video and the video of today. And this will give you the links should you not have been able to take any notice of them today or note them down. We will make sure they're shared through with you, as well as the DCO link. So again, if you're ever unsure of any part of the project, you can actually look at the DCO that was submitted. You don't have to read all the many tens of thousands of pages. You can just Control F and find some information that's relevant to you. And so I will just double check. There is no more questions. So at that point, I will say thank you. I'll thank also Fabian for joining us today. And as always, future events, let us know. We have another webinar on Thursday of this week, which is to do with bid writing. And we have another version of the CompeteFOR one aimed more at the large suppliers, Tuesday next week. You can still sign up to that as well if you haven't yet. And you'll see us over the course of the next couple of months. We're at 4 or 5 different exhibitions. And we have a couple of roundtables to do with specific sectors, most notably, I think next week, radio and telecoms. But as always, we want to hear from you. So if there are things where you would like us to hold a business support program on a certain part of the project or a certain part of business support, just let us know. We're doing the CompeteFOR ones because it's what people fed back in the spring. So this is what we want to be able to do to help you out. So there is no other questions. So I will say thank you very much. I'll let you enjoy your day and I look forward to catching up with you again very soon. Thank you.